Welcome to the Pathfinder Legacy Podcast, where we help farmers, ranchers, and business owners create a seamless transition plan for the future. From retirement to ownership transfer, we protect what you've built and guide you every step of the way.
Welcome back to the Pathfinder Legacy Podcast, where we talk about building wealth for the next generation through planning, purpose, and the stories that shape who we are. Today's episode is part one of a family legacy interview with Lance Ladner, Patty Odom, and Blythe Odom. In this conversation, we travel to southern Mississippi, almost as far south as you can go before reaching the Gulf. And we begin with the roots of the Ladner family. This first part is about more than their family history. It is about the kind of legacy that cannot be measured only in dollars or documents. It is about land that stayed in a family for generations. It is about raising livestock, farming, family stories, hard work, and the knowledge that gets passed down when families live close to the land. As you listen, I want you to think about this question. What are we really passing on to the next generation? Because legacy planning is not just about protecting assets. It is about protecting identity, values, memories, skills, and the family story. This is growing legacy, not just assets. All right. Well, thank you, everyone, for being here. So we have two sisters and a cousin joining me today. And we are in the deep south, probably far south as we can go before we get into the into the
Gulf
ocean.
of Mexico, here,
right?
For the second, yeah.
Gulf of Mexico. So, all right. Introduce yourself, Patty.
Patty Odom. Blythe Odom.
Okay.
Lance Ladner.
Lance Ladner. And you guys are first cousins, sisters
Right.
and first cousins.
Yep.
So talk a little bit about what some of your family heritage is, how you guys got here to this part of Mississippi. What you know from what your family history, the Ladner family.
Well, from what I can remember and hearing my daddy talk about is a lot of our ancestors come from the coast. The first Ladners that was supposed to come into Pass Christian was Christian Ladner.
Okay.
And then he was one of the first ones, or he was the first one. And they just kind of migrated this way from the coast. And that is where our families has come from. Our grandfather on my daddy, their mama's side.
Okay. Okay. So how many kids were in that family?
10, is that right?
For
Hearts, yeah.
I believe that's correct.
I think there were 10 kids.
Wouldn't guarantee it, but I think so.
Okay. So 10 kids. And then you have from your grandpa, then he had 3 children.
Correct.
Okay. So your mom?
Our mom, Lance's daddy,
Lance's
and
dad.
then they had one more brother.
One more brother. And is they're all deceased
They're
now?
all deceased now.
Okay. And do you have any cousins from that?
The other brother? Yeah. He had 4 children.
Yeah.
Matt, Odessa, Elsie, and
Yeah.
Ruby.
3 girls and a boy.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So
And they still live close to.
Except the boy.
He passed away.
So you have a lot of those cousins that were in the area. So you guys are pretty tight knit on what you guys did growing up. You had some that were closer to your age, Blythe, and then some on the other side that were closer to Patty and Lance.
Yeah, most of them were Lance and Patty's age. I actually kind of joke that I went to school with all my third cousins instead of or second cousins, I guess, because I was so far behind everybody else. But yeah, they all grew up with a lot of cousins.
Okay. And everybody was in the Poplarville areas where they went to school.
Correct.
Okay. And did you guys ride the school bus?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Rode the school bus?
His daddy drove it.
He did.
And he was the one that was going through the water, right?
Yeah, Kern
Just-
Creek.
Yeah.
And just put the pedal to the metal, right?
Well,
No, he just
wouldn't pedal to the metal, but you definitely get water running. You better pick your books up. Let's put it that way.
didn't come all the way up.
It'd come down the alley and pour out the emergency exit.
Right? Right.
Yeah.
You were going to get your shoes washed anyways. Yeah. So you had some of those stories too, that when you remember your parents telling. So now that your parents are deceased, you don't have anyone to help carry on those stories to the great grandchildren and the next generation. So what's one of those stories that comes to mind that sticks with you?
Well, for me, it would be a lot about how they lived and ate and survived then. I mean, I've heard Daddy talk about, plowing the corn with the mules and the horses and going to town in the wagon, the sheep sharing. The sheep sharing was a big ordeal back then. That was a lot of their money for the year. Back then, it was all done with hand shares, no electricity, but they would share those sheep and then stomp the wool in big sacks and load it on a wagon. And he talks about taking it to the train station in Poplarville and backing a wagon up to the train with a horse and loading it out. And Daddy even said that the bank in Poplarville at that time, which would have been in the late 30s, early 40s probably, the bank would stay open to late at night to cash checks for the people that sold wool.
Okay.
And then from what they ate, I mean, they pretty much ate what they could grow. There was another story Daddy told about Lawrence. He was born and raised up on the Wolf River up there at the Irvin place. That they put him on a horse with a sack of corn, and he rode from the Irvin place all the way down to Highway 53 down there now where the old Riverview Inn was. There was a grist mill there. And they sent him down that river swamp by himself, a kid, with a sack of corn. They milled it, and then he turned around and went back.
Okay. And they were just taking it to mill it.
Yeah, it was a sack.
Get a sack of corn, just like that.
Yeah.
So really what they're, a lot of people, because we get further generations further removed from the farm and further removed from what our ancestors' stories were. So a lot of those things, in order for them to survive, they didn't know how else to survive, but living off the land and making that land work for them as much as they could. So with their sheep, they were raising sheep that were wool and meat bearing sheep. And then where was the wool going? Do you know where they were selling?
I guess up north. I don't know.
I would have thought it would have went northeast to the factories.
That's what I would
but I
think.
don't know. I know Daddy said they put it on a train.
Okay.
They had actually sent a man down here to buy it from somewhere.
So they had
From somewhere. Yeah, I don't know where it went exactly. Though.
Maybe heading up the East Coast.
But I would think to some of those textile factories.
Okay.
I don't remember who it was, but I remember Mama talking about the hand shares. Daddy and Mama always talked about there was somebody that could share 100 head a day with those hand shares.
Oh my God.
And they shared them on a bench, not like they do nowadays.
They weren't holding them down between their legs or on their butts. They were.
No, we
putting them on a
always shared
stand.
sheep on a bench. So you had a little rope that went with a weight on it, and you put it in front of their ears, but behind their eyes, so it held their head down.
Okay.
And they tied their back feet with another rope that was in that bench, in that table, and just kind of stretched them out, shared them, flipped them over, and shared the other side. It didn't take long.
I've shared a bunch of them on the bench.
I have too. Yeah, we've all had our hand at sharing, I guess.
Yep. And that's just what you had to do in order to help your families and that's what you were doing to
just
make a
what we
living.
did.
Yep.
And actually, his daddy had, and my daddy had kept what our grandpa had, but we still have some of the same
sheep
line of sheep we have kept. The same, and they call them now Gulf Coast native sheep. They've actually made a registry and all this for them.
So you've kept those genetics that have been going in your family
That's what I was trying to say.
Genetics,
for maybe 100 years?
Probably longer than that, I would say.
I ain't no telling how long they've been here. I mean, they've had them forever.
Yeah.
Do you guys raise sheep too, Lance?
I do. My daddy had always had them, and we got nearly around 80 head of yokes is what we've got.
Okay.
And,
so keeping that, and you ladies still have sheep as well, making sure that you're keeping that herd going, and
we're trying to.
Yeah. What a history to have those genetics. You don't see that as often, or you're getting less and less of it in families. So what's something else that they sold wool and they had crops and so forth that they were raising? What were some of the other things that they were doing to live off the land?
I mean, my mama, his mama, everybody canned. I mean, they grew big gardens and they canned. I mean, I can remember one of my earliest memory. I tell people I hate fans because my earliest memory is laying right there on that floor with a big Sears and Roebuck box fan that lasted for like 50 years. I'm pretty sure that thing worked. I can remember laying right there in that floor with that box fan blowing full steam on you when she put you down for a nap. And she'd be standing over there over that cannon. And it was so hot in here. You could just, I mean, it would be so hot with that cannon stove going. And you'd wake up and you were sweaty and all your hair was stuck to you because that fan was blowing it on you.
She was doing it right here in the house.
Right
she wasn't
there.
doing it outside.
No, right there. Right there. Well, not that stove, but a stove. Yep. Those big canners with the rack in them, you know, full of they didn't do the pressure cannon. They did where you put the racks in and boil the water in until they sealed.
Yeah.
I guess that's the same way your mama can.
It was.
Yeah.
It was in no can or anything.
Yeah.
Yep. And you know, I don't know. Mama said they never did this, but my daddy, he claimed that they used to can beef. Did you ever hear him talking about Granny canning beef?
Granny Odom, he talked a lot about canning.
Did you ever hear anybody saying that?
Daddy remembers canning some beef down there at the old place.
Okay.
And,
Well, Mama said she never remembered that, but see, they were a little older than Mama, so that might have been something they did before. Yeah.
He talked about it some, not a lot of it, but he said every now and then there would be some they would can. But I mean,
because they just didn't have a good way to preserve big amounts of meat. I mean, we were talking earlier about how much of sheep and goat that we ate, but and pig, you know, because that's what they could preserve because it was a smaller quantity.
But yeah, Daddy, I mean, he acted like Granny Odom canned a lot of beef.
Okay.
But now, how many kids was he?
There were 7 of them, so they had a lot bigger family too.
And you didn't have the freezer space.
Well, they didn't have a freezer.
They were doing
they didn't have electricity.
My daddy talked about too, and I don't know if Herschel and them. I never heard Mama talk about it, but Herschel may have. Daddy always talked about in one of those houses they lived in that they could count the chickens under the house at night in the mornings when they'd wake up at daylight. The chickens would be under the houses pecking, and they could count them through the floorboards because it wasn't, you know, it wasn't insulated or sealed or anything.
Well, you didn't need to have it. It was, you know, different climate, different area, living and figuring out. You didn't have air conditioning. So having that airflow through the houses and so forth. Yeah.
I know we didn't have air conditioning.
They got air conditioning here when I went to college. It's still a sore subject.
How nice of them, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So between the meat production and wool and so forth, and then crops, they also had corn that they planted.
that's all I ever remember. Growing some corn, and then, like she said, the garden.
And corn for the cornmeal and grits, and then the garden for everything else.
And did they sell corn too, or was the corn enough for your?
It was just for us,
for family.
Yeah, and they fed the livestock.
Well, and the livestock,
for livestock and for families to. So you guys had your own grits and cornmeal and so forth. Oh, and then you had. At that time, were things horse-drawn, or were there?
Well, I know Mama says she even remembers the first car they got.
Oh yeah, Daddy does too, and that Granddaddy wouldn't drive it.
The grandma wouldn't either, would she? Or was it Granddaddy that wouldn't and Grandma would?
Cornelia drove it everywhere.
Okay.
Lawrence never did drive it, Daddy said.
Okay. I got that backwards then. I knew one of them wouldn't drive.
I don't know if Grandpa ever drove.
Probably not.
I don't think he did.
Yeah. So they got used to. I mean, they were so used to doing the horse and buggy and everything horse-drawn. Did they use oxen too, or was it all horse?
I don't know. I know they used oxen when they were cutting that virgin timber out, because there's pictures of those big hitches of oxen.
I don't ever remember Daddy talking about using no oxen.
But I don't think they did.
I think that would have been like Grandpa and them using the oxen, not.
I don't remember them ever talking about it after they were alive, you know, our parents.
But they talked
But I know we had pictures of back when they were logging. This area was being logged out of
And
some
they had-
like 40 oxen
Okay.
teams, you know,
Sure.
so big teams of long
right.
teams of
To do
oxen.
the field work.
Mhm.
What did a typical day look like for you guys?
For us.
For you, and then talk about what your parents were talking about. Was a typical day?
My typical day now at this time,
Growing
When
up?
you were
growing
little.
up,
Was there a typical day?
no, there wasn't nothing typical about it.
Everything
mean,
was different.
And of course, during the school year, they forced us to go to school. I wouldn't have been if they hadn't made me. No, especially her. But in the summertime, we run wild and free, and we stayed in the woods and camped and fished. And my daddy, when I was growing up, we caught a lot of cattle. He had horses, and we had cur dogs. After the stock law had passed and all, there was still people with cattle in the woods that couldn't get them. So I spent a lot of my summers on a horse catching cattle or baying them and pinning them. And I mean, we went all over this area catching cattle and worked through the stockyards and caught cattle.
And I remember before I was even big enough to saddle a horse, Mom had saddled a horse for me one morning, and Lance and them, we'd just start riding and meet up, and us kids, like he
That's
said,
the way it was. I mean, that's the only thing they knew. My daddy taught school. And of course, he farmed and ranched all of his life. But he was a school teacher, so they paid the bills. But when we would get up in the mornings before we were big enough to go to school, as an old sorrel horse, we called him Boots. And when me and my brother woke up, he was tied in the backyard, saddled, tied to a dogwood tree there. And that's what, if we wanted to go somewhere or come to her house to play, we rode down the road. That's right.
If I wanted to go to their house,
it was
Mama
a horse
saddled
or
me a
bicycle
horse,
or
and that's
what.
the way we went.
Yep.
Then we did finally graduate sometime to bicycles.
That's what I say, is a bicycle or a horse or walk.
Yeah.
And then when I graduated high school, I saved me enough money and bought me a three-wheeler.
I did too.
The big red.
That's right.
No more waiting to saddle that horse
That's
or
right.
to pedal up and down the road.
Yeah.
So
we
you
had some adventures.
I was going to say, y'all about killed Keith with them horses and bicycles one time, didn't you?
and that's another cousin.
No, he's not a cousin.
Well, he
He's,
is,
well,
like, I think,
distant,
like
but they just
third
live right
or
here.
Okay.
About
He was
a
like a brother
quarter of a mile.
So close.
Yeah.
You remember what she's talking about?
Yeah, exactly. Well, and it wasn't just Keith. I was on the bicycle with
Oh, I thought you were the one hooked to him.
No, I did.
Oh, Patty did. Patty did.
Yeah, I remember it real well. I was on the bicycle. when it turned on.
They wanted to come get their horses, so we just put a rope around the bicycle handlebars. And I was going to pull them up the hill. Got going a little bit too fast, and the bicycle kind of went to cutting flips.
But were you pulling it with the
horse?
With the horse.
I was on the horse. Yeah.
She's going to help them out and not make them pedal so much.
Somebody was going to have some fast spinning pedals.
They blame it all on her, but I bet they had part in that idea too.
Well, it probably was our ideal, but the problem was that sand hill down there.
Yeah.
The bicycle tire got in that sand bed.
That sand wreaks havoc on two-wheel vehicles, don't it?
You weren't going to have any traction going through there.
But I was good. I was just helping them out.
Yeah, sure. Well, that's what you would do.
Yeah.
Crash.
Yeah.
Yep. Guess how they crashed and burned a little bit. So, what was your favorite thing to do for fun?
That's what we done for fun.
Yeah.
We like I said, we fished, we rode horses. There wasn't nothing else.
There
to
wasn't
do.
nothing to
Yeah.
do.
If you stayed around the house and you aggravated Mama and Daddy and didn't get out of the way, they would find something for you to
Oh,
do.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it was
Yep.
better.
So we got, we
It's
left.
just better to stay gone.
Yeah.
I remember Mama saying one time that somebody was visiting and wanted to know where the kids was, and she said, "Oh, I don't know." Said they off on them horses somewheres, and said they said, "Well, y'all not worried about them being off like that?" And she said, "Well," said they won't all get killed at one time. Somebody will come get us.
I remember that.
You remember that? Somebody will, one of them will come get us if something happens.
Right. They're going to know. They're going to know. They're going to send a posse out for you or something, and you'll find out. One
We would show up at somebody's house usually to eat lunch or something,
Be back. So, who was the biggest influence for you growing up?
The biggest influence. I don't know. I guess it would go back to my parents. I mean, I think I'm a whole lot like my daddy.
Yeah.
So I'm like I say, we didn't get out a lot when I was kids and all. Now, I mean, we didn't go to town a lot. We didn't go eat a lot.
No.
We ate at the house.
Yep.
Yep.
If we did go somewhere and we could get home before we starved, we come home and eat. We didn't stop and eat. We didn't start doing that until we started showing caves. It was in high school, and we would be going to Jackson. And when we started roping and rodeoing, that was a little different too. We was gone more.
Also pack that trap. I was just thinking about that and then buying the sausages.
Oh yeah. Well, that's.
I mean, when we were growing up, Mom and them went to town like once a month from here to Poplarville to buy groceries and all.
And
a lot of it was Daddy got paid.
Wait till you got paid.
Yeah.
And you didn't buy, you just bought like sugar and flour and dry beans. And, it was like just staples that you bought. It wasn't.
Because you had a milk cow.
Yeah.
Everybody had a milk cow.
You had all the dairy product that you needed.
We had chickens, so we had eggs. I mean, they didn't buy that kind of stuff. And,
so I would just like to say these two right here.
Were they your?
That's my heroes. They're the toughest suckers you have ever met up with. These two right here.
So you had a lot to live up to.
I've been trying my whole life.
Well,
I'm way behind.
13 years younger.
I've never been quite as tough as these two are.
Yeah. Well, you always just saw the things that they were doing, and you learned to either you were following in their footsteps and doing what they were doing, or what not to do.
I can tell you, and Lance probably don't even know this, but I punched rope and steers for him one night on a sprained ankle all night long, and I don't think he ever knew that it was sprained until about 3 days later. He wanted to know what happened to me.
Weren't going to admit that you
I
were
will
not
say
the one.
it's probably kind of. Sometimes I look back and I don't know how any of us survived some of the things we do.
Some of the things that you did, just learning. But look what you did learn.
Good Lord had to protect us a lot of times, or we'd all
Absolutely.
But the poor little Blythe, she just all she knew growing up was livestock shows and rodeos, because that's what I was doing, and Mom and Daddy was always with me, so she was drug along.
I don't know, after I was grown, and I still do rodeo some, but Mama said, well, I thought you'd outgrow that sometime. I said, well, let me just tell you, it's all your fault, because y'all made me this way.
Right.
So, I don't know what to tell you.
It's walking in there.
She was like, well, I would have thought at some point you'd get tired of doing it. Like, no. It's still there.
Yeah,
but she would have loved it too. Like she was so, she supported us wholeheartedly on all that. And she loved every minute of it. She loved to watch us and loved to go with us. And if they'd have had a bunch of them around when she was young, she'd have been right there beside us, because she did. And his daddy's the same way. I can remember both of them saying how much fun they had when the kids were rodeoing and all, and how they got to go to so many different places.
So what events were you guys doing?
I calf roped the team roped.
Okay.
And I've always just breakaway roped at the rodeos. We used to horse show a lot and run barrels and all the fun events, and Patty always
goat tied in high school and breakawayed some. I wasn't real good at it. And run barrels. And then after high school, I just kind of run barrels at all these NBHA and barrel races.
They didn't have it right then. Huh? I said they didn't have those right when you got out of high school, but they always had some kind of jackpot association.
There was always some kind of little jackpot radio.
Yeah. Okay. So do you still?
Not anymore.
But Blake?
I still rope. I don't run barrels anymore.
Okay.
I don't fool with any barrel horses. But
I kind of, I've just got out of shape.
Yeah.
not doing it anymore. I do miss it sometimes.
Y'all just getting old. Y'all don't have no fun.
Ain't no doubt about it.
Now you guys can look up the blinds, right?
Not much.
Yeah, I like to go with her when it's where I can.
There you go. Okay.
Watch and support her.
How about you, Lynn?
I don't rope anymore. Shoulders hurt, knees hurt.
That's
everything.
Yeah.
I have a daughter that sure enough goes
Yeah.
and likes to rope.
Okay.
And my son, he's torn between the roping and the hunting. So
Okay.
it's still a big deal at my house, and the practice pen stays lit up every night. But I'm more of a worker and a pusher now than I am a roper.
Yep. You're behind the scenes.
That's it, right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Supporting and helping.
That's right.
He's our number one. He's a number one coach.
Yep.
There you go.
Yeah, and I did. I taught her a lot.
He taught
And I
me how to
taught
rope.
my daughter a lot. My daughter was somewhere one weekend. I think it was in North Georgia at that big roping.
Yeah, that's
And she was having a bad week. She couldn't catch them. It was going bad. She called me complaining and all. And I told her that I wasn't there. I didn't know what was going on, but I said, you have been well trained. You need to quit worrying about it and go do your job.
Right.
And things got better after that.
I thought
she
you
wrote-
told her to try to miss.
Well, that was another.
That was another.
deal.
That was another time. Up
That was
there.
to clear her mind.
That was reverse psychology.
That's right. And she was trying too hard, is what she was doing.
Sure.
But like I said, I mean, she's been well trained. You just need to go do your job.
Well, that was something in high
And
school.
when all else fails, try to miss them.
That's
Maybe
what it
you'll
was.
get
That's
for
right.
it. Right?
When we were all high school rodeo, and I guess we made it to the nationals 3 times, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
I think I went to Douglas twice and Yakima once.
Yeah. Yeah, we went to Yakima, Washington the first time, and Douglas, Wyoming 2 times.
So just to put the age difference into perspective, I was 2 years old on the trip to Yakima.
Oh,
And that was right after Mount St. Helen.
Helen erupted, and
in
that
the
was
early 80s.
Yeah.
nastiest
And
grounds. Every time you would take a step, that ash would just puff up around you.
I still got some of that at the house.
We had
Have some under that kitchen sink right there, unless one of them ladies. threw
I
it away.
think it got through away
Did it?
by accident. Yeah, we hang on to it. I will never forget when we left Yakima, Washington. We went to Idaho to see one of Mama's old high school friends, and we pulled up, and she said something about, "What can I get y'all?" This and that, or she said, "The first thing I want is a bath." She said, "I feel so nasty," and it was just the ash was just everywhere.
Well, didn't they I can't
And there
remember
was
any
dump
of it,
truck.
but didn't they just take bulldozers and kind of push it?
I guess so, but there was piles of them.
piled up everywhere.
A certain time, just about every day, that wind would blow. You remember that, Lance?
Mhm.
And when it would blow, it come across in piles and just coat everything. It was awful.
Thank you for joining us for part 1 of this family legacy conversation on the Pathfinder Legacy podcast. In this episode, we heard about family roots, land, livestock, childhood memories, hard work, and the everyday lessons that get passed down when families stay connected to the land and to each other. Stories like these remind us that legacy is not only what we leave behind on paper, it is also what we preserve in memory, what we teach by example, and what we intentionally carry forward. At the end of the day, legacy planning is not just about protecting what your family owns. It is about protecting who your family is. When families plan for the next generation, we're not just planning around assets. We're planning around values, stories, traditions, work ethic, and the land that helped shape us. We are asking what matters most, what needs to be protected, and what stories should not be lost. In part 2, we will continue next week with the conversation with more family traditions, holidays, syrup making, river memories, old seed corn, and the ways this family kept community and self-sufficiency alive across their generations. Thanks for joining me today on the Pathfinder Legacy podcast. If this episode made you think about your own farm's future, your family's land, or the legacy you want to leave behind, consider sharing it with a family member or a friend who could use the help. Sometimes the hardest conversations are the ones that matter the most. And if you're ready to start your own legacy planning conversation, you can book a discovery call with me at pathfinderlegacy.com. Until next time, I'll see you between the ditches.
Thanks for listening to the Pathfinder Legacy Podcast, where your future is our focus. Be sure to subscribe, follow us on social media, and visit us at pathfinderlegacy.com to start building your transition plan today.